a mysterious figure approached their home. She was a tall, slender woman with an air of elegance and an enigmatic smile that never quite reached her eyes. Draped in a flowing, patterned cloth, she exuded a charm that was both captivating and unsettling. Tokunbo, ever the gracious host, greeted the stranger warmly. "Welcome to our home, traveler. I am Tokunbo, and this is my wife, Tosin. Please, come in and rest your weary feet." Alejo, the visitor who refused to leave. In the small village of Haruna, nestled deep within the heart of the lush African savanna, there lived a young couple named Tokunbo and his beautiful wife Tosin. They were known far and wide for their generosity and kindness. Their home, a quaint mud brick house adorned with vibrant murals and a thatched roof, was always open to friends and strangers alike. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky blazed with hues of orange and red, a mysterious figure approached their home. She was a tall, slender woman with an air of elegance and an enigmatic smile that never quite reached her eyes. Draped in a flowing, patterned cloth, she exuded a charm that was both captivating and unsettling. Tokunbo, ever the gracious host, greeted the stranger warmly. "Welcome to our home, traveler. I am Tokunbo, and this is my wife, Tosin. Please, come in and rest your weary feet." The woman introduced herself as Omolara, and with a voice as smooth as silk, she thanked them for their hospitality. "You are most kind," she said, her eyes flickering with a strange light. "I have been on a long journey, and your home is a sanctuary to me." Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but Omolara showed no signs of leaving. At first, her presence was a novelty, a welcome addition to the household. She helped with the chores, told enchanting stories by the fire, and brought laughter to the evenings. However, as time passed, her behavior became increasingly peculiar. Omolara began to dominate the household, subtly undermining Tosin's authority. She would take over the kitchen, insist on preparing meals her way, and dismiss Tosin's suggestions with a condescending smile. "Oh, Tosin, you are so sweet, but let me handle this. You rest, my dear." Tosin's patience wore thin, but out of respect for her husband's generosity and the village's customs, she kept her concerns to herself. In Haruna, hospitality was a sacred duty, and a visitor was treated as an honored guest. However, wise elders often said, "Atijo Alejo, Modi Alejo Tto," meaning an old visitor should not remain a visitor forever. One evening, after Omolara had spent an entire year in their home, Tosin finally voiced her frustrations to Tokunbo. "My love, Omolara has been here too long. Her presence is suffocating, and I fear she has no intention of leaving. It is time we ask her to move on." Tokunbo, though conflicted, agreed. "You are right, Tosin. It is only fair that she finds her own way now. I will speak to her in the morning." But when morning came, Omolara had anticipated their move. She approached Tokunbo and Tosin with a serene expression, as if she had been expecting this conversation. "I understand your concerns," she said calmly. "But before I leave, may I share my story with you?" Intrigued, Tokunbo and Tosin agreed to listen. Omolara began to weave a tale of sorrow and betrayal that tugged at their hearts. She spoke of a village far away, where she once lived with her own husband. They were happy, much like Tokunbo and Tosin, until a mysterious couple arrived at their doorstep. We welcomed them into our home, Omolara recounted, her voice heavy with emotion. We offered them food, shelter, and friendship. But in return, they repaid our kindness with treachery. They turned my husband against me, and in a fit of madness, he took my life. Tokunbo and Tosin were horrified. That is a terrible fate, Tokunbo said softly. But what does it have to do with you staying here? Omolara's eyes glinted with a strange light. I am not like other visitors. I am bound by a curse, doomed to wander from home to home, seeking revenge on those who showed the same kindness that led to my demise. I cannot leave until I have repaid the favor. The atmosphere in the room grew heavy with tension. Tosin's heart pounded in her chest, and a chill ran down Tokunbo's spine. They realized too late the gravity of their situation. Days turned into a nightmarish blur. Omolara's true nature was revealed, and the once warm and welcoming home became a place of dread. She sowed discord between Tokunbo and Tosin, whispering poisonous words into Tokunbo's ear, filling his mind with doubts and suspicions about his wife. She does not trust you, Omolara would say. She is plotting against you. Tokunbo, under Omolara's sinister influence, began to distance himself from Tosin. Their once loving relationship turned cold and strained. Tosin, desperate to reclaim her husband's affection, sought the counsel of the village elder, Baba Ifa. Baba Ifa, a wise and respected figure in Harna, listened intently to Tosin's plight. After a long pause, he spoke. Omolara is no ordinary visitor. She is a malevolent spirit, bound by vengeance. The only way to rid yourselves of her is to confront her with the truth of her own past and beg for her forgiveness, which she was denied in life. With renewed resolve, Tosin returned home. That night, as the full moon cast an eerie glow over their village, she gathered her courage and faced Omolara. We know the truth of your curse, she said firmly. You were wronged, and for that, we are truly sorry. But you must find peace and leave us in peace. Omolara's expression shifted, her eyes narrowing as if weighing Tosin's words. For a moment, it seemed as if she might relent. But then, with a bitter laugh, she shook her head. It is too late for forgiveness. My thirst for vengeance cannot be quenched. Desperation clawed at Tosin's heart. She knew she had to act swiftly to save her marriage and her life. That night, while Tosin slept, she crept into the darkened room where Omolara rested. With a whispered prayer for courage, she confronted the spirit once more. Omolara, you have overstayed your welcome. In the name of all that is just and true, I command you to leave our home and find peace. Omolara's form began to waver, her eyes filled with a mix of rage and sorrow. You think you can banish me so easily, she hissed. I will not go quietly. But Tosin stood her ground, invoking the wisdom of the ancestors and the strength of her love for Tokunbo. As she chanted, Omolara's presence grew fainter, her protests weaker. Finally, with a last, mournful wail, the spirit vanished into the night. Exhausted but relieved, Tosin collapsed beside Tokunbo, who had awakened during the commotion. Is it over? He asked, his voice trembling. Tosin nodded. Yes, my love. She is gone. In the days that followed, Tokunbo and Tosin worked to rebuild their fractured bond. They learned the importance of communication and trust, and they vowed never to let another visitor disrupt their harmony. The village elders reminded them of an old proverb, Alejo ko mobie nikam iroyun, meaning, a visitor should not bring one trouble such that they forget to ask for news. It was a lesson they would carry with them always. But the story of Omalara did not end there. Word of her malevolent visit spread throughout the region, becoming a cautionary tale for young couples. They learned to be wary of strangers who stayed too long and to trust their instincts when something felt amiss. As for Omalara, her spirit continued to wander, searching for new victims. But now, her legend preceded her, and the wise knew to guard their homes and their hearts against her insidious charm. Years later, as Tokunbo and Tosin sat by their hearth, they shared their story with their children and grandchildren, ensuring that the lessons they learned would be passed down through the generations. Kindness is a virtue, Tokunbo would say, but wisdom must guide it. Always remember the tale of Omalara, the visitor who refused to leave. In the end, Omalara's tragic tale served as a reminder that even the most innocent acts of kindness could have unforeseen consequences. It was a story of love and betrayal, of forgiveness and vengeance, and above all, the enduring power of wisdom and tradition in navigating the complexities of life. And so, the story of Omalara, the visitor who refused to leave, lived on, a timeless piece of African folklore that continued to captivate and caution those who heard it.